realise Buckeye Box is this afternoon. But they're all there because we just couldn't print all those handouts for 150 people.
Oh, yeah.
And you would have gone home with a folder this big. But if you can't access them from Buckeye Box, call me, email me, and we'll get them. So Doug Haddix is the Assistant Vice President of Editorial Communications at the university and is an amazing individual. Lindsay and I attended a prior version of this on WebLink. It was so amazing. We sat there at my computer writing like mad women. Holy cow, it's too quick. So it was so extraordinarily pertinent to what we do. We asked Doug to come in and do it again. But just focus on the acts that are pertinent to us. Because his prior one were things that went, this is just for us. And you don't have to have a smartphone or a smart anything. Do it from your desktop. I am so incredibly grateful and proud and honored to introduce Doug Haddix.
Thank you. Thank you. The mic is working, it sounds like, so, and everyone in the back here? All right. I tend to wander around, so I want to make this interactive. This typically takes about an hour, so we have an hour and a half, so we have good wiggle room to go at a nice pace and take questions and have conversation along the way. I know when you do a talk like this, you're always supposed to start with a little bit of humor, so I thought this morning I would stop by the License Bureau to renew my license, figuring that's a great spot for humor. Well, something has happened in the last 4 years since I've been there, because I was in and out in 5 minutes. I don't know what happened. And then the last insult was my new driver's license photo. It actually looks decent. So I have no material from the License Bureau for you this morning. But I thought that would be a great place to start. I'm really happy to be here because I realize now why you guys do this conference in June. Because if you did it during the academic year, the entire university would collapse. Because I know working with Helena and with Janine and with Megan Peters and Ricker, I know what you guys do. And I know how important it is what you do and how you really are the engine that keeps this whole place running for people like me who need people to tell them where to go and when to go and what to do and how to track things and how to be on time. So I'm really happy to be here. I have tried to put together this presentation in a way that would be most relevant to what you do. Now, having said that, I know there's a wide range of kind of skill sets and experience and familiarity with different tools. So some of these things you may know, some of these things you may know but still find a new trick involved in it. Other things may be totally new. So I tried to make it a hodgepodge. As she said, this is already available on Buckeye Box, the entire presentation with all the links and things. And you'll see I use these little embedded movies that will give you the examples. So if you download from Buckeye Box the entire presentation, it's big. It's like 500 megabytes or something because of those movie files. You'll have all of those directly. I also have a link at the end if you want just a PDF that has the links that you can go to quickly, a smaller file. The last slide will give you a place where you can download that. Everything sound cool? All right. Awesome. I understand. What's your name? Rose? Ruth. Ruth's nickname is Awesomeness. So that's why she's here. And I always hesitate to like put awesome in the title of a presentation because I may think it's awesome, but you'll be the judges of whether it's really awesome or not. And let me know. I welcome your feedback along the way. So I thought we'd get started with just kind of the overview. Most of these are free tools, which we can all afford. There are things in here that I use at work, and then there are things that I use in my personal life. I think as you guys all realize, and you live this every day, there's a really blurry line anymore between work and home and tools that you use in your personal life versus tools you use at work. And I really encourage people to experiment and try things either at work Or if there's something that you're using at home that you're like, wait a minute, this could really be useful in the office as well. So there's a mix of things that we'll go over. We'll have a couple kind of asterisks, because some of these tools have they're kind of a freemium model where there's a free part of it that does kind of cool basic things. And then for an additional charge, some of these tools really have kind of high-end super user purposes. So I figure some of you, depending on the areas, the colleges, the units where you work, you might be interested in some of the paid versions of these too. So we'll go through that. I've tried to kind of organize these by categories of what we use them for. So the first thing I want to talk about is a few tools that we can use for email. But first, I'll say, I hate email, right? Do you hate email as much as I hate email? Do your bosses hate email as much as I hate email? Email is the devil. I agree with that. Email is the biggest challenge I have, I think, as a manager. Just processing it all. And thanks to Helena, she goes through my email now, since I'm filling in media relations. Been there for 6 months, kind of helping out while we look for a new assistant vice president. She's really been terrific in going through and helping me manage my email. So I want to show you some other tools that might be helpful. Some of these don't work on like the university email system. So these are things that you might experiment with if you have Gmail or Yahoo Mail or other mail like that. One that I've been using for about 6 or 9 months now is called Unroll.me, Unroll Me. And what this does is it will go through your Gmail. It doesn't work right now with our OSU email. But if you have, how many of you use Gmail or something like that? Okay, so that's great. So this is in your personal life. It was a game changer for me. Because every time you go to a website, and like if you buy something from Land's End or Sears or whatever, in the tiny print, there's the like, you will be getting our regular newsletter, or we'll be sending you special offers and things like that. You just have no comprehension of how many things like that happen. Sometimes even if you visit a website, the cookie is stored, you know, the little digital footprint that you leave is stored, and then you start getting stuff. It's like, why am I getting all this stuff? This tool is free, and you subscribe to it, and the first time you get it, you'll open up a page, and it will show you all of the subscriptions that are coming into your, in my case, into my Gmail. It was like 180 or 200. It's like, no wonder this is overwhelming and killing me in my Gmail. So what this does is then it gives you, you know, you spend maybe an hour with it the first time you use it, and it's time well spent, because it gives you the option of unsubscribing. You know, so a lot of these things, you know, from retailers, they just unsubscribe, unsubscribe, unsubscribe. It's just click one button as you go through it. The other thing you can do is you can leave it in your inbox, that if you want to get those kinds of updates, you can just leave it alone. And the other option you have is to roll it up. And that's the one that I really like, because you get one email a day, and then it has things kind of rolled up into one email of things that you want to see, but you don't want to see them as 30 separate emails or 50 separate emails. For instance, I monitor, as director of the Kiplinger program, we do training for journalists around the country. So I subscribe to a few different listservs from investigative reporters and the Society of Professional Journalists. So sometimes those get really active, and people just start posting lots of things that are interesting, but it can overwhelm your email. So I have rolled those up so that now each day I get one email from Unroll Me, and if I want to, I can open it up and scan all those things in one email. Or if I'm too busy, I can just ignore it. And it's just not cluttering my inbox. It's really nice.
Excuse me, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I guess I just mentally can't understand. Are you saying then, I said it doesn't work with my university email.
Right.
Where does this message, this one message a day come?
Into your Gmail or whichever account that you link it to.
So you designate one.
Yeah, I mean, if you have multiple ones, you could set it up for multiple accounts. If you have, you know, like maybe you have a spouse, or you have, you know, 2 different personal emails that you use for different things, you can set it up tied to a particular email address, like a Google address, Gmail address, Yahoo, things like that. So I guess I can show you what it looks like. I always record things so that it's risky trying to go to the web live sometimes. but let's see if I can just go to my Gmail and sign in. So here is today's roll-up. Can
Do
you
you
see this?
assign like what time of day you want it?
No, it just comes in the morning, typically. So this is telling me that there are 33 emails kind of wrapped into this. Let me make this a bit small. So here are some of these discussion forums that I subscribe to, LinkedIn updates, Facebook updates. These are some of these listserv things that otherwise would be coming in separately from these various journalism listservs. The screen is a little fuzzy, but you can kind of get the idea that they come in as almost little cards, and you can scan through them and see what's there and read them. Discussion forums, ProPublica, the Online News Association, a lot of these are listservs, and it's a way to kind of consolidate it into one thing. It will usually give you at the top, if you have news subscriptions, it'll just say you have 5 news subscriptions, and you can click a button and then say, what do you want to do with those? Do you want to keep them coming in separately? Do you want to roll them up, or do you want to unsubscribe? So every time you get one of these, if you inadvertently signed up or subscribed for something else, it'll tell you, and you can manage it on a regular basis. Saves a lot of time for me. And my Gmail is a lot more manageable than it was before I started using this. Most of these tools I use myself. Some of them I've experimented with and don't use as much. So we'll see. Any other questions? Yes.
Back so quickly, so not. How do you, let's say you want to open something up and read it. Is there
You just click on it, and then it will open up that. It will make that a full-size kind of message.
full size and all the pages that
Yep.
can?
Yeah, it kind of just takes everything and puts it in a nice package, a one email package, but you can always expand and go back to the original email. It's really cool. Very, very cool and free. I started to say very free. That's already I need more coffee.
It's so free.
It is so free. The other thing that I really like in terms of an email update is something called news.me. And this is a free site, and what you can do is you get a daily email, and it's top stories and things that are shared by your friends and contacts on social media. So when you sign up for this, you can link it to your Facebook account, your Twitter account if you're on Twitter, your LinkedIn account. And I always have a feeling that there's so much just coming at me every day on social media and in email and other ways, that something like this helps you not miss important stuff. So what this does is it's this algorithm that goes through, and it looks at the stories that your friends or your connections shared yesterday, that they posted on Facebook publicly, that they linked to on Twitter, that they shared on LinkedIn, and so forth. And then it will go through, and like in this example, there were 353 stories that my connections shared the day before. Now, there's no way I can read all of those. So what it does is it goes through, and it pulls out, you can set it to pull out the top 10 or the top 15 based on how many people have reshared it, how many people have commented on it. These are like the hot stories that your friends are sharing and your connections are sharing. So it's a good way for me to monitor kind of trends going on in journalism and in communications based on what other people are sharing. So again, it's a free site. You just set it up, and then you get one email each morning that looks like this. And then you can decide, I just scan it, and sometimes I go in and read those stories. Other times I'll save them later. But it's just a way to kind of not miss something big that's important to you. So you figure your friends, your contacts, your connections, things that they're sharing are more likely to be interesting to you than just random stuff out there on the web. It looks at it based on the most times it was shared, the most people were commenting on it, things like that, the most clicks it had, the original story. So it's looking at kind of the most popular items, kind of the hot items that your connections are sharing. So think about who you're connected with on Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook, and the kinds of stuff that you see coming through those feeds. It kind of goes through all that stuff and picks out the things that are most interesting based on shares and retweets and comments and things like that. so thinking about like in your different areas, you know, if you have OSU accounts, like on Facebook or Twitter, you could link it to those accounts and then monitor what people are sharing through those and commenting on it. Just to give you kind of a quick daily briefing. Does that make sense? You guys are good at asking questions along the way. That way it's not a monologue from me, which would be not awesome. Ask my family. So how many of you use Gmail? It was a lot of you, right? So this, I like this. This is a free extension in Gmail called Rapportive. And what this does is if you get a Gmail from somebody and you're not sure who it is, or even if you know who it is, it pulls this up over on the right side. It searches that person's email address and puts right beside the email, like I got an email from this guy, Misha Leibovich, and I didn't recognize his name, like who is this guy? And then I just looked over and it tells me he's the CEO of this company called Neograd. It's a startup company out in California. It links to, this does have a pointer, good. It links to any of their accounts that they have on social media, so I can click on this and see his LinkedIn profile if I wanted to learn more, like who's sending me this email? Why is this guy contacting me? And other things like that. You can even at the bottom, you can add a note about this person, and it's a private note that only you can see. Like, total jerk, don't answer. You know, or cool, someone I want to be in touch with, or keep in touch with. So these notes, when you then get another email, you can see if you've added any notes about that person. This is, you go to Rapportive, I think it's rapportive.com. All of these are linked. So in the presentation, if you click on it, it'll take you to the service. And most of these are just a simple sign up kind of thing, and you would link your Gmail to it. And then once you do that, like in my Gmail, if I click on an email from anybody, it pulls up what I can find about them on the side. So kind of sneaky, but helpful. Especially if you deal with people from lots of different areas and worlds, and you're like, wait, and if they have a photo with their account, one of their accounts, it'll put that up there so you can say, oh yeah, I remember her, or I know who that is. Yes?
So that also means the mine, they can do the same to me.
Yeah. Oh, that's an excellent point, because anything that you type into a computer and put on the web, or any profiles that you have out there, these services can search and pull from. So that is good to know.
But I'm just saying, even if I don't download Rapportive, they
No.
can still get that.
If you send me an email, I can see whatever it can find publicly about you by just looking at your Google profile, your LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. And these are all public. It's not going to go into anything that you have said as private. Good question, though. And an excellent point that everything, I tell journalists, like, a lot of people don't understand privacy settings, which is bad for them and good for us. But just be aware of that yourselves, that how you're presenting yourself publicly on your LinkedIn profile, or if you have a Twitter account, what you have in your bio, and things like that, it's all totally searchable. And it's very public. You know, you've made it public by joining that service. So I'm sure nobody would do anything inappropriate, so we're all good here. Sometimes the other challenge that we face is sometimes we have a very large file. Like this presentation is a very large file, and I needed to get it to Tricia, so I couldn't email it to her. I didn't know if she used Buckeye Box. So if it's somebody on campus, you can use Buckeye Box to share, but not everybody is real Buckeye Box friendly, or just not even using it. How many of you are savvy users of Buckeye Box? I'm just curious. Okay, so maybe a fourth or fifth, so not even half. What I like about this service is called WeTransfer, and if you have a file that's too big to send as an email attachment, you can send it through this service for free. And all it is, you just go to WeTransfer.com, and you see this screen that pops up, and you just can send anything up to 2 gigabytes, and any file up to 2 gigabytes. And I've never had a file bigger than that I want to send to anyone. Even like a movie file usually isn't more than 2 gigs. You just click on Add File, and you navigate to wherever that file is on your computer. You type in the email address of who you want to send it to, so I just typed in Tricia's email. I put in my email, like who it's coming from, and then you can type this little note. And I said, here's my presentation for Wednesday, it's too big for email, let me know if you have any problems with it. And then you just click transfer, and that's all you have to do. I look for the path of least resistance with all this stuff, and the thing that's easiest to use. The other cool thing about this one is you do get a confirmation email when that person opens it up and when they download it. You'll get an email saying your file has been transferred, so it's there when this person, if this person wants it. And then you get a second email when they've actually downloaded the file. So that's nice too, that you know they have it.
So to use this, if you downloaded something on your computer and then when you send it, does that person?
When they receive it, like when I sent my presentation to Tricia, she got an email that said, you have a file from Doug Haddix, and my note showed up. And then she just clicked a button to download it onto her computer.
So there's not an app to download?
No, it's super easy. And it comes as an email itself. So that all you have to do is then click on, like, download this, or whatever it says. It's super user-friendly. This works on any email. Yeah, this is, you just go to the web to WeTransfer, and you don't have to be a member or subscribe or anything. It's just a tool that you can use. So you just go to WeTransfer.com, and this little box will pop up, and then you can just click, add your file, say who you want to send it to. You can send it to an OSU address. You can send it to any address. I put my OSU address on it so she would know this was coming from me at OSU, because she might not know who Doug Haddix at Gmail is. So I
Wonder
sent it from
what
my.
server, who owns the server, or where those files could end up if you're sending to other people.
Yeah, they go through WeTransfer, and then once they're downloaded, we're told they're then deleted off their servers, which I believe, because they don't want them to be clogged. But again, if it's something, just like with Buckeye Box and any of these, we'll talk a little bit about cloud storage, I would not put things in insecure places that have social security numbers or information protected by HIPAA or FERPA. So, sending this presentation, I wasn't violating any, weird privacy things, I hope. And then we're at a public university, so almost everything we type is potentially a public record anyway. So if it's work stuff, unless it has a social security number or medical information or protected student information, most of what we deal with is public information anyway, honestly. And then there is a plus service. This is one of those that up to 2 gigs, you can send big files for free. You don't have to sign up, you don't have to link anything to it. You just go to the web, click, fill in the box, link your file, and off it goes. If you are interested, or your office is interested, there is a plus service that's $10 a month. And what that gives you is the ability to send even bigger files, up to 10 gigabytes. If anyone, I don't know if anyone deals with a lot of major, massive video files or something, you might need that. I've never needed it. And then you get, as part of that, 50 gigabytes of cloud storage on WeTransfer. So that's just available. I've never used it, so I don't know if anyone had a need. Yes?
Is there like a time frame where people have to download a file within?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if there is or not. Typically, people will do it within a few days, and even if someone's on vacation, they've never had a problem where it comes back that this file never was delivered or opened. Now, you can't force people to download it, right? So all they can do is deliver it for you and tell them, if you click on this, there's a file waiting for you.
Or if nobody ever clicks on it, how long does it stay on the server?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure exactly how long they keep it. There must be a limit. I would imagine it's at least a couple weeks. They don't want to irritate people by deleting things that, if you were gone for a week or two and I'm trying to send you something and then you never got it because they deleted it. I don't think they'd want to do that.
A reminder, I wonder if a reminder email would go out if they don't click on it after a certain time.
I don't think so, because I've gotten WeTransfer files from other people and I get the one email, but then I'm downloading right away, so. We can test it, you guys can test it, send some file and then pretend you're mad at her and you're not gonna open it for 2 weeks and see what happens.
Excuse me, Doug.
Yeah.
So this works for you. For some reason, I thought the firewalls at the university, large files, it sort of automatically. Yeah. Was hesitant. You've not had too much problem using it.
No, I sent this from my office in Bricker. And Bricker is kind of locked down IT-wise
Yeah.
compared to other buildings on campus. And because you're really not going through university servers, you're just uploading this to the web, to a server there that then it's parked there so that then the person can just pull it down from there. It's kind of like Buckeye Box for the web without having to have an account, or especially if it's somebody outside the university that you need to send a file to.
So she just gets, so she just gets email notifications or
Yes.
receive it, not, it doesn't.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah, she just gets an email, like Tricia just received an email from me saying, this file is waiting for you with my note. And then she clicked on it, and then she's downloading it from the WeTransfer server, wherever that is.
Okay.
So there's no OSU server or anything involved, it's all through the web. Any other questions about that? These are good questions. I don't want to assume knowledge here, or understanding, or that I'm explaining it clearly. So how many of you sometimes work on presentations or help your boss or people on your staff? Okay, so a good number of people do that. So I wanted to put together some tools that I use for presentations that I've learned about over the years. My previous job before coming to Ohio State was I worked for Investigative Reporters and Editors, a national group that does journalism training around the country. And so I traveled and did presentations all the time. So I was learning from other presenters and other people kind of some of the tricks that they use to make their presentations better. So the first thing I'll mention is how many of you know about the Brand Guidelines site? All right, so we won't have to go through all of this. Tremendous resources from our brand and marketing team. Everything from, I'll just click this so it'll start going. Everything from the logo itself to templates for PowerPoint, for social media avatars, you know, what you use with Twitter and Facebook, those little images, typography, all kinds of things. And this is an ever-changing, ever-growing toolkit that you can use. So when you click on it, takes you deep into, they keep adding stuff all the time. So if you haven't looked at it in a while, even maybe you looked at this 3 months ago, you might go through because it will show you examples of how to use proper branding on those avatars with social media, with photography. This will also take you into, we have our photographers and communications have put together a really robust photo gallery of high-res images that you can download for use. This shows you how to get to those images, or how to request a photo if you think it's something that that your department might need that we might help you with. We have this photo gallery that you can browse. I think that's where we're going. That's broken out by categories. So if you're looking for photos in the classroom, or doing research, or athletics, or campus life, or traditions and spirit, that's all there too. Any questions about the brand site? Have you guys used that for different things? Do you pull things down? What kinds of things have you found most useful? I'm just curious, since this is our world of university communications. PowerPoint slides? Yeah.
I was going to say the PowerPoint slides. We helped each of our library locations across campus create their own letterhead, just changing the name up in the corner there. But one thing that I would like to see in terms of the PowerPoint, like it gives you some examples of how your PowerPoint background and things should look. But I wonder if there's more of a template per se, like where it's whereas right now each slide is very different. So more of like a template where I can just have it.
Yeah, I think the idea behind the way those are set up is that those are all options, and that you guys are all creative, and you would have different, you know, like I took one of those templates for this one and just duplicate slide, you know, if I want to do several that are similar kinds of slides, just duplicate the slide. Others I didn't use at all. So I think it's more of, there's kind of a smorgasbord
We have
of
some
options.
wiggle room with that.
Any other questions or comments about how you guys are using the brand? Yeah.
The entire brand statement, somebody said to me recently, well, I don't even know what OSU's brand is, and I said, oh, let me help you out with that, and I just printed out the whole thing you guys had. 3 minutes later, it was in their hands. Oh, I didn't even know this existed.
Yeah,
So,
perfect. Thank you for sharing that. It's been a
Absolutely, yeah.
year or two long process to try to get everybody, this whole one university thing is tough at a university this big.
It's easy to slide into old habits. It's
Right.
like, oh, nobody knows what each other's doing. And
Mhm.
so when you can provide that from one source, it's very powerful.
Yeah, and we're trying to be that repository of things like this and like the photo gallery and other tools that we know that people need. So thanks for helping spread the word because we need to get this out front.
I use the logos all the time when I make the invoices, so I have the High State logo on the.
So they know they better pay.
Yeah.
No, that's a good example. Is there something else that you have?
Question marks we use, branding, to kind of rebrand all of our content, so easy training and stuff.
Mhm.
And I mean, just the side-by-side comparison of what we have, you know, whether it was the old logo or even the new logo, compared to what, like, the font sizes we should be using right
Right.
here. There's a drastic difference.
And I feel your pain in having to convert things because I've done some version of this presentation for several years, so I thought I'm doing this presentation with this group, so it has to be branded properly, right? So I went through and redid everything based on and you'll see I maybe break some of the rules in terms of spacing, and I figure, don't tell the brand police, they'll come after me. But they're there to be guidelines and to be templates, and you can modify them to, I like to have big images and things and fewer words, so I kind of scrunch things maybe more than a design person would like, but it's still, I think, all right.
So is this on the main university?
It's at brand.osu.edu. Yeah,
And then the
try to make that
medical
easy to
center-
find.
And then the medical center has their own brand source?
I believe that's right, even though they are supposed to be kind of under the big umbrella of the university as a whole, so that everything complements and ladders up.
Don't put secondary signatures. I don't like that.
Oh, who knows? I'm not
I
sure
know.
about that, you know?
So you see how he has the Ohio State University up at the top?
Yeah.
So University Library's secondary
Oh,
signature
I
just
see.
has University Libraries right under that
Got it.
white line.
Yep.
So that would be like, we have the Kiplinger program, so it would be Ohio State University, and then it says Kiplinger's program, public computer. See, I don't know all the lingo, even though I'm part of the ascension. All right, see, we're all learning. All right, so that little, was there anything else on brand? I don't want to go too fast. All right. That tool that I use to do that animation or that recording is something that is like the best $50 I've ever spent for this tool called Snagit. Does anyone use this? So do you agree?
I love it.
Yeah, so you can do lots of things with it. It's a $50 one-time license. It's not an annual thing. Once you buy it, you have it. What I love about this is you can use it to do grabs of still photo. You can do a still photo grab from your screen, or you can record kind of a movie based on what you see on your screen. So any of these things that are playing are just little Snagit movies that are easily embedded in a PowerPoint. I learned the hard way when I was doing presentations for my last job that you can't always count on having Wi-Fi, and you can't always count on going to the web live to do presentations. So I never rely on that. I always record my examples using Snagit. I'm going on the web showing things, but then I just make a little movie of it, embedded as an MP4. They're saved as MP4 movie files, and then you just add movie file into the PowerPoint, and it just goes in seamlessly. You can also, I'll play this little thing, and then you can tell us how you used it as well. I'll show you there are lots of ways I don't use it that are possible that you guys might find interesting too. And this is, again, it's just $50. So you can do the screenshots, video. They have a little video here that this is showing you. Snagit is what produced this little movie, and there's a movie inside the movie from Snagit, kind of their promotional tool, just showing you kind of what it works like. So you can go to a website and you can grab a still image, kind of capture that, and then it gives you lots of abilities. You can then click on a bubble and then go in and type on it, type on the image. And then you can share that. You can click a button and then it goes into your email. And you can send it to someone like that. Lots of ways. that you can show people what it is you're talking about instead of describing it. So you can just take a shot from the web like that, and then send it as an email. You can send it as a tweet. Once you have it as an image, you can do with it like you would a photo in any other way.
Much better than trying to send someone a page and you don't know how it's gonna open on there.
Yeah, like trying to save the whole page or something. You can open this in lots of different formats. You can see lots of different services it goes directly into. This one I think is really cool. You can take a photo and then upload it by connecting your account. You can upload it and then it just comes in automatically, and then you can draw on it or type on it and stuff like that. I use it for really basic stuff, but there are lots of more creative ways that this tool can be used.
And
Yes.
that's a web login, and it's not specific to one particular computer.
No, it's computer, you download the software under one computer.
So if I get a new computer, I have to pay $50 again, or there's a web access to it that I can?
I think there's a web access to it, because I did get a new computer a year or so ago, and I didn't have to pay for it yet. You guys are stumping the band here, these are good questions.
Do you know if you can record your voice?
Yeah, it works on, yeah, I have a Mac. So yeah, it doesn't, it's platform and operating system agnostic.
Do you know if you can record your voice over the video?
Yes, yep, absolutely. And I just didn't record audio on that video. You could record it from the original, from your laptop if that's where the sound is coming from, or if you have speakers that it's coming from, you could say, take the sound from what source. Really nice. Yeah. How else do you use it? You say you love it.
Mostly the basic stuff, but I get people that'll say, which distribution list on Outlook should I use for such and such? And I can pull up the distribution list, cut a piece out, and draw an arrow using Snagit to show them which of the lists they should use to send an email to someone, paste that whole image into the email, and then send it to them. So I can tell Ruthie, here's the 3 lists that you should use to get this information out by just cutting it and pasting it. Use it a lot for image stuff. I do a newsletter, so I cut a lot of pictures off the web and paste it in there.
Yeah, because once you save,
Yeah.
you can save the image on your computer, and then you can use it, like you said, in a newsletter, you can use it in a PowerPoint, you can use it any way that you would use any type of image file.
Yeah, and it was convenient for a couple people that were coming to our building that had never been there, they were traveling from somewhere else, and it's kind of hard to describe where our building is in conjunction with the parking garage, so I pulled up a picture of the Med Center map, and took a Snagit picture of it, and then drew an arrow from the parking garage to our building, so they would know which building to go to. So they knew where they were
That's
going,
awesome.
which was also really nice, so they knew when they got there, they were like, oh, I knew where to go.
How else could you guys use this as your wheels? I see wheels spinning. What else are you thinking? How else might this be helpful? Because I always learn from you guys too about different applications, how you use this stuff. How else might this be handy? Yes.
I'm ready to pay my $50 right now, because we do a lot of training on library-specific software at university libraries, and sometimes we are spread out across campus, and so a lot of people can't come, so I see this tool as an easy way for us to do some training that we can post online for people to go through. So that's why I was asking about recording your voiceover, when you're scrolling down. So as I'm explaining to someone, this is how you do this, say it right there on top of the video, and then they can go there to access the training. And instead of me having to go to 10 locations, I can just post it to the website.
Right. And you can do that even like in a PowerPoint or anything else. You can do it slide by slide. So I've done some kind of webinar kinds of things, not here, so not using Carmen Connect, but using tools like this where you have an external microphone connected to your computer, and then you do your Snagit movie file or just a still image, and then you can record over it. And then if you don't like it, you can record it again, make sure that it's clear and saying what you want to say. Other ways this might be useful? I'm not making money from Snagit, I just love it. I don't endorse tools that I'm not using myself and enjoying. Anything else? Okay. So there are a couple tools. This is still kind of under the category of presentations. I like when we do Kiplinger program training, or if there's a conference that we're helping run or sponsor, sometimes it's cool if people have a hashtag and they're tweeting about the conference or they're tweeting about whatever. It's kind of nice to have a display of that like in real time as part of the conference. So like if you guys, do you have a hashtag? Are you guys Twitter friendly or Twitter hostile? Kind of Twitter hostile. But have you been to conferences where there's a hashtag or meetings or events like we have with commencement? And then with Welcome Weekend, we have the hashtag new to OSU, where we kind of capture conversation and stuff about people coming in for orientation, and then it'll be part of Welcome Week as well. So what you can do with these tools is you can set it up and like have it just running on a monitor, like on a screen during a conference, and you know, kind of during break time. I've been to conferences where we've used this, and we'll have a conference hashtag. So then if there are 1,000 people at this conference, there's like a big monitor like out in the area where people sign up and congregate to like a coffee and stuff, where this is just going, showing tweets, showing postings with that hashtag, so you can kind of see what are people saying about this event that I'm attending right now. Whether it's a conference, or it's commencement, or it's a big concert, or a political rally, or you know, whatever, a big anniversary thing, a donor party that you're giving in your college reunion. Lots of ways to think about if there is conversation going on in social media around this event, you can show it. So let me show you. You can also kind of monitor things a little bit. This one I've used a little bit, so I can show you how it works. It's called Seesaw. And you basically just go in and you can sign up for it. It's a free account. And you can link your Facebook, Twitter accounts, whatever you like to it. So this is, I just been doing a search of the hashtag KipCamp, which is what we use when we do Kiplinger training. Minus RT, I don't want to see all the retweets of the same things. I just want to see things. So we could have this up during a conference with this moving in real time, showing as people are posting comments about it. And that would just kind of keep scrolling and updating in real time. And you can search any hashtag, any keyword, anything like that, and you can just have that showing it. You can also use it just to search yourself. Not search about yourself, but you yourself can use it just to search things you want to see what people are talking about. Any topic, any keyword. And it displays it in kind of that nice way. And then you can save, if it's a search that you want to come back to, there's the see part and the saw part. Very clever, right? So the see part is you're seeing the results of your search. And you can just do that yourself at your computer if you're just curious what are people talking about with this topic, this keyword. Maybe when President Drake arrives on the 30th, maybe his first week, you know, we're going to launch his new Twitter account, and there will be a lot of kind of social media chattering to and about him his first week especially. So you could monitor it using this. If there are things that you want to monitor on a regular basis, you can do that on the other side. Maybe I can record that if I... Oh, I think it just stopped. Yeah, here we go.
That's not seesaw.com.
I think it's SEES.AW. These are all linked in the presentation. They have to get clever, like they use some foreign country URL thing to make it cool. So you can type about anything. Like I just typed in Obama to see what people were tweeting about President Obama, about Obama, just that keyword. You could type in Drake. You could type in veterinary science. You could type in, you know, Ohio State, anything. And it just kind of scrolls down and kind of shows you in real time what people are tweeting about that keyword or hashtag. You can then save it to your SAW board, which is kind of saved searches. So when you click on that, you'll see I was just experimenting with different searches to see how they would work. So here's an Ohio State minus RT without all the retweets. So this was last week, I think, when I was tidying this up. So you can kind of see what people are posting about Ohio State. You don't have to be on Twitter yourself. You don't have to do anything like that. You can just kind of monitor it with this tool if you like. Or like I said, if it's a conference or an event and you want to kind of display kind of the conversation around it, this tool is kind of nice. And then you can save a variety of searches on your SAW board so that if you check into that, you know, like once a day or something, you can click and see what's going on these key topics on Twitter. That's just one way, an easy way of monitoring Twitter without really having to be active on Twitter. The other tool that I like for kind of displaying during a conference is this site. It's called Visible Tweets. And again, you don't have to sign up for anything. You can just use this by going to the web. And let me show you what this looks like. You just type in what it is you want to display, the keyword or the hashtag, and then I go up into this animation area. They give you different options. The one that I think looks the nicest is the animation rotation one. Did this stop? Come back to life. I must have clicked something on the clicker that stopped it. There we go. I can't be trusted with a clicker. So what this does, imagine this on a big screen, like during today's conference, during break time, you could go out and see if this were an active tweeting group, you could see what people were tweeting, and then it just kind of moves around. You know, so I just did a search of Ohio State minus RT without the retweet, so that if someone has tweeted something and then 20 people retweeted it, you'd see the same thing 20 times. So that's why I did the minus RT. And it just kind of just displays like this and keeps changing in real time. So it's kind of nice for an event. Some good, some bad. You can never tell with our schools. All right. Any questions about those so far? Does anyone use Seesaw or Visible Tweets, or have you ever heard of those? So well worth the price of admission, right? Some new things. So I wanted to talk about the cloud, which is one of my favorite parts of life now compared to how we had to do things in the past. So how many of you, these are kind of the major cloud services that are out there, and they're all linked. If there's anyone that you're particularly interested in signing up for, I've tried to give you kind of a breakdown on how much you get for free. You know, like Buckeye Box is awesome in terms of space. 50 gigabytes, it's protected. It's a nice place to collaborate here on campus with people throughout the system, not just on this campus, but throughout Ohio State system. I like it for sharing big files if I know the other person's familiar with it. You have to kind of have an account and know how to use it, and it hasn't been widely adopted yet across campus, as we saw just with this group. It's secure, so you know, it's a place you can even, it's encrypted, so you can even store documents that have private information, you know, protected information. You can do that through Buckeye Box. That's the reason that it was set up, partly as something on campus. You have to have an OSU.number email address to sign in and be part of the service, so that's one way it's protected as well. Google Drive is the one that I use most often, partly just because I've been using it for several years, and there are lots of other services that I'll show you that are connected to Drive that I use. You can get 15 gigabytes for free in Drive. They all work similarly. Dropbox, you can only get 2 gigabytes free. Microsoft OneDrive, nobody uses Microsoft, I think. Does anybody use Microsoft? Like, who uses Bing as their primary search engine? Do you? Okay, that's one. Everybody uses Google. And I was at a conference once and someone said, well, that's because Bing stands for Bing is not Google. That is harsh. That is really harsh. Or Microsoft. They keep trying. And then Apple, the iCloud, those of you with Macs and iPads probably use that and know it's available. All of these work kind of similarly. They have different kind of pros and cons. They have a little bit of different interfaces. But what I really love about the cloud is the ability to collaborate with people regardless of where you are. So I work on a Mac, a laptop, and then I have an iPad, and then I have an Android phone. And with most of these services, with Google Drive is my primary one that I use, you can connect all of your devices to it. So anything that you update, like if I'm working on a document on my MacBook computer, and I save it into Google Drive, if I want to look at it on my phone, when I go to it on my phone, it's updated on my phone, because it's updated on the cloud and then saved on the devices that are linked to it. I really like it because I never know if I'm gonna need to look at something on my computer or on my iPad or on my phone. That's what I love about the cloud, is regardless of where you are, what you're doing, as long as you have internet access, you can get to it. You can also collaborate pretty easily on most of these services by sharing documents or sharing folders. I mentioned I work in Brickers, and we have a very locked down computer IT department there that doesn't communicate well sometimes with other parts of campus. Like most of my team is at the Gateway building where Janine is, my editorial team, and we have different servers. Like anything I save on the server at Bricker, Janine can't get to from Gateway. And the files that people are saving in Gateway, I can't get to from Bricker, even though almost my whole team is at Gateway. So the cloud enables you to collaborate and get around those server issues. Again, I'm not collaborating and putting files up that have any confidential information. It's just, like our story list of what stories we're working on for the online magazine, or what we're working on with On Campus coming out, or things like that. So let me show you. Again, I'll just use Google Drive as an example because that's the one that I use, knowing that Dropbox works kind of similar to this, and the others are similar as well. So you can see when I log into Google and go to Google Drive, it shows me all of my files. If someone shared a file with me, it shows up. My drive is where, I think I stopped. I've got to stop clicking. My drive is where all of my files are. The ones that I have just for, come to life. There we go. The ones that I have just for me, or the ones that I share with other people or other teams. So this shared file is editorial communications. So you can share a folder, you can share a particular item. This is how you go in, just to kind of show what it looks like. You can change the color of the folders. You can share them with different people. So we'll go into that one, and I'll show you when you share it. You can set up specific people that you want to share it with their email addresses, and no one else can get into it, so it's secure that way. So these are my directors in editorial that I work with: Jay Hansen, Kristen Convery, and Deb Guinan. They lead the 3 teams in our editorial group. Deb and I are at Bricker right now. Jay and Kristen are at the Gateway building, so that's why we share things on Google Drive. So anything that we're working on, planning-wise, even things like performance evaluations, which are public record, so it's not private. We're in the process now of doing year-end reviews. So Kristen and Jay, as they are doing their year-end reviews with their teams, they're posting them in our Google Drive folder so that I can review them and see if I want them to make any changes. Again, it's protected. It's protected because you decide who you give access, and then for each person you can decide, can they edit anything in this folder, or can they only view? So you have the ability on most of these services to set it up that way.
If they can edit, can they then share it with other people? And what does edit just truly mean, edit, or does it give them ownership?
Good question. Edit means they can go in, if it's a Word document or a spreadsheet, they can go in and make changes in it and save it. They can't share the folder. As the owner of the folder, I decide who has access to it. So they can't give access to the folder. They could, obviously they could save the document and share it separately if they wanted to. And again, we're not dealing with like NSA secrets or anything with our editorial group. So this is just a way that we can actually work together on things. Like
They
when
can't actually delete your file or the folder.
they can't delete the folder, but they could change things in the file. So you have to figure out what access. Like I trust Jay and Deb and Kristen, and we need to be able to go in and edit the same files. For instance, we've been working on a kind of a a plan for Dr. Drake when he arrives, and there's a social media component of that Kristen's team is involved with. There's the executive communication, speech writing stuff that Deb Guidance team is involved with. There are plans for what we're doing in the online magazine and on campus and things like that Jay's publication team handles. So we have like a master plan for welcoming Dr. Drake with our coverage. And that's a shared document that we can all go in and type things on. Everyone on their teams doesn't have access to this. So an individual reporter or someone who's doing social media, they can't go in and change the plan. But my directors and I, my deputies, we can work together on that document. And the cool thing is, so if I open it up, I think this is the next slide. So most of these, like Dropbox and Google Drive work this way. You can download kind of the application to your computer, to your phone, to your iPad. And you never really have to go to the web once you set up the sharing through the web. But it's just a folder. So this is my Google Drive folder on my MacBook. And these are all the files and folders I have in my Google Drive on the web. So anytime I go, I don't really go to Google Drive on the web to do stuff. I just go to this folder. And I open up a file, and I work on it, and I save it. And when I save it, it's automatically saved in the cloud. And then here's the cool part. That's cool first. The cool part is Deb and Jay and Kristen have Google Drive downloaded on their computers. So it automatically updates that file on their computer the next time they turn on the computer and connect to the web. So we literally can be on the same page, whether it's Jay's computer, Kristen's iPad, my phone. If I open a file and make a change in it, it's updated not just in the cloud, it's also updated on my computer, on the hard drive where those files are. It's also updated on their computers, on the hard drives where their Google Drive folder is.
As long as they're connected to the net.
As long as it's updated when you connect to the web. And then it automatically synchronizes those files. So when you set it up, if you have a lot of stuff, it may take a little while just to synchronize stuff with people you're collaborating with. But once you have it set up, it is the most incredible way of collaborating. My complaint, is anyone a huge lover of Buckeye Box, or have you invested in it? Okay. So no offense, but my big complaint about Buckeye Box is the syncing is glitching. And we've had real problems collaborating. We tried Buckeye Box, being good Buckeyes. You know, we tried Buckeye Box in terms of collaborating on things. The sync just doesn't work very well at
Especially if you go
times.
between Mac and PC.
Right, it has all kinds of issues like that where we could not end up relying on it in the way that we needed to for day-to-day business. So that's why we started using Google Drive. Because the syncing is seamless. You don't have to go in and actively say sync this or sync that like you do in Buckeye Box periodically. And it works across platforms and across devices. So that's why, and Dropbox works the same way. We used Dropbox with the Kiplinger program. We did for a while because we had set it up that way 3 years ago before I became a big Google Drive fanatic. But they work pretty similarly. But the amazing thing is you can just go in your folder on your computer, work on the file, save it, and then you know it's backed up on your computer, it's backed up in the cloud, and then anyone else that you're sharing it with, it's also on their device too. So there's lots of multiple backups. Any other questions about that?
Does it show that somebody has edited the?
It depends on how you set up. If you want to have almost like a track changes, you can see the edits, yes. And that's what we'll do like on a document. We have a story on campus comes out next week, so we have this special tribute to Dr. Aludo coming out. So several of us have been kind of editing and finessing the story that we're Jet McAllister has written the story, and then you've got like 5 people editing it, you know, because that's a big story. We have to make sure everything's perfect on a piece like that. But we're using it with like track changes and stuff, so he can see like this goofy comment is from Doug, or you know, this good suggestion is from Deb, that kind of thing. So you have a lot of customization built into all those cloud tools that you can set them up however you'd like. Does anybody use Evernote? Okay, a couple people. Does anyone use some other kind of in the cloud note service? There are others out there. Anyone else use anything regularly? Okay. I like Evernote for a lot of reasons, and I'm not saying it's the only one, but it's one that I know is tested and proven. What I like about it is you'll see it does a lot of cool stuff. It keeps everything in sync on all of your devices. You kind of log in, you create an account, and you can make a note like on my phone. Well, I'll show you. I have different ways that I use it. This is what it looks like. Again, I use it on my phone. I use it on my phone, I use it on my iPad, I use it on my MacBook. And it synchronizes everything, but it works a little bit differently than like Google Drive. This is really just for me. So I have my to-do list, which is just a Word document, and I have it broken into like personal things, staff meetings that I need to talk about, front burner, which is way too big. Things broken down by editorial communications that I need to do or be aware of, Kiplinger program, and so forth. This is my way of running my life, right now. You can upload a document to it, or take notes directly into it. So we had our week-long fellowship with the Kiplinger program in April. So I was taking notes during a lot of the sessions because I learned from the speakers that we bring in. This is a to-buy list. It's my shopping list that I need, so don't read it. So if I can call it up on my phone if I stop at Kroger on the way home. Hold on, I'm going too fast. Let me stop this. Stop the madness. That's the danger. I didn't build in enough time to describe this. So like, you can start typing a note. So my to-buy list is just a note that I created, and I can go into it on my phone if I think, oh, I need to pick up bananas and milk at the grocery, or we're running low. I'll just type that into my Evernote to-do list. So then it pops up on my computer, it pops up on my phone, it pops up on my iPad, whatever I'm looking at. I can get to my to-do list. I can get to my to-buy list. Those are the two things that I use it most often for. So then, like if I'm planning this weekend to do some like landscaping stuff, I go out into the garage and say, okay, I need these 4 things from Lowe's. I just type it on my phone so that when I go on Saturday, it's right there, and I don't have to remember it because my memory is not what it used to be. There's too much stuff bouncing around in there. So then I'm at Lowe's, and I bought my stuff, so then I just, on my phone, open up my to-buy list and just delete that stuff because it's done. The to-do list is pretty much how I try to manage my day with Helena's help on email and meetings and things like that. It's my master list of stuff I have to do broken up into categories. And I can get to it wherever I am as long as I'm on, well, I'll tell you, I can get to it even if I'm not on the web with this. I can update it, I can knock things off that list. If I hear during one of our regular staff meetings that we need to have performance reviews turned in by this date, I'll just type that right there because that's something that's active, it's my front burner, I need to remember that. And then you can just arrange the stuff like you would in a Word document. The other nice thing about this is you can set up and save things from the web. So I use this as if I'm scanning the web and I see stories that I like, you can clip them to your Evernote just by clicking a button. So if I see a story that's really interesting that I want to save, maybe I don't even have time to read it now, I'll just clip it to Evernote. And then it'll pop in and you can put tags if you want. If you're really anal like me, you can put tags like 2 or 3 keywords so that then it's all searchable. Let me show you what that looks like. I also have a thing set up that I'll show you that anytime I favorite a tweet as something I want to look at, it goes into my Evernote in a favorite tweets folder. So then I can scan through those. I have receipts in there. I have our phone list. Every time Janine updates it, I put a new version in there so that I always have phone numbers that I can get to from everybody on our communications team, all 60-ish. You can do a keyword search. So this was Instagram. So if I'm doing a presentation and I need to figure out like, what stuff have I saved about Instagram that might be useful for this presentation, it'll search any document, whether it's a web story that I've clipped and saved that has the keyword Instagram. This was a notes file that I was just taking notes during a conference and clipped things about Instagram, keyword searchable. The other thing you can do is, this is a search for ABC. You can take a photo and upload a photo to Evernote, and if there's text on the photo, it's searchable. So I knew that there was someone I'd met, a producer at ABC, but I couldn't remember who it was. If I just search ABC, it pulls up her business card. Because and it shows you, it found it on an image of her business card. So it has this kind of photo search capability. If there's text in a photo and a PDF, anything like that. You can upload stuff into Evernote. You can just take your own notes, like at this, our week-long conference for the Kiplinger program. I just had notes for the fellowship, and each day I just had my iPad, and as the speakers were talking, if I saw something interesting or a website I wanted to go back to, I would just type it into those notes, and then it's all searchable later. Yeah.
Is there a space limitation, and then does stuff get wiped off?
Stuff does not get wiped off. There is a lot of, I put down the clicker. I hope I put how much space there is. I don't remember. It's really big because most of this stuff is just text. I've never run it. May be, I want to say like 10 gigs or something like that. It's a massive amount of space for text stuff. I paid for the premium access, which is $45 a month. It gives you more space, and it gives you, the reason I bought it was I travel a fair amount doing training, and it downloads everything onto your device. Like on my iPad, when I connect to the web, my Evernote files are automatically synchronized. So if I'm sitting on a plane, I don't need to have Wi-Fi. I can just open up Evernote on my iPad and read all the stuff that I have in Evernote. Or if I'm someplace else that I don't have Wi-Fi. That's the main reason that it was worth the $45 for me to get, not the space, but the offline access, knowing that everything is there, whether I'm connected to the web or not. The keyword search is really powerful because if you think about all the types of things that you might gather, this is almost like you work with the library system, right? So it's almost like you're building your own little archive of information that's interesting and relevant to you, whether it's stories that you see on the web, notes that you're taking, lists that you're creating, photos that you're putting into Evernote for whatever reason. You know, all of that is just kind of like your own mini archive of stuff you want to be able to access later. And I like, because doing presentations, you can do that keyword search and find something like, you know, social media engagement, and then it would search all the stuff I have and pull up things that have those keywords. Yes. This will be a hard library question, I know.
No, no. I'm thinking of personally, the to-do list and the to-buy list. Could you collaborate with someone on those two, on things in here, like say your spouse? To do, to buy.
That's dangerous. I don't know if I want that. I don't think my wife would want that because I'd be like, honey, we need this, we need that. I think probably a shared Google Drive document might be better, easier for that. I don't really collaborate. You don't really collaborate through Evernote in the same way that you do those other tools.
But it does say share.
Maybe you can. I don't.
Share.
Yeah, you can, maybe you can. I don't know all the answers. Because and this is a good example of you use these tools different ways based on your own needs. I've not really wanted to. You can share things. I know you can go from here. If this is a story that I want to share on social media, you can share it on Facebook. You can share it on Twitter. You can share it in an email. I don't think you can share it with another user other than emailing it to them. All right, any questions about Evernote? I always type in, like at the airport, if I'm leaving, I type in like, where's my car? You know, red lot 16B, and just because then I know it's there and don't have to remember it. Any questions about Evernote? I really like it, and it's something I've used more and more and found more uses for it. I've been on it now maybe about 2 years. But even if nothing else, the to-do list and the to-buy list are my daily, like, things that I go to every day. Not that I buy that much, but just little things you need to remember, like I'm running out of toothpaste, that kind of thing. No, that's for a year. Yeah, the premium is $45 for a year, if you want that. But I used it for about a year before I went premium, just because I thought this offline access really, there were times that I thought it would be really cool to have it. But maybe if it's only once or twice, you just pay for the Wi-Fi on the plane for $8 or whatever, and that's cheaper. Everybody uses it differently. So this is the, I mentioned on Evernote, I have a folder set up, but you can't really read it, but it's called Favorite Tweets. And there's this tool that is called IFT. It's called If This, Then That. Like, if this happens, then do that. Everyone's looking scared. You don't have to know how to do programming or coding or anything like that. There are these pre-baked, they call them recipes. So that if you think about things that you do a lot that would be nice to automate, this service allows you to do that. So I favorite tweets as a way to almost bookmark a website, or bookmark something that I want to come back to later. You know, I'm standing in line someplace and I'm just kind of looking at Twitter and it's like, oh, resources for social media management. I will favorite that because I don't have time to click on it and read that link right then and there. I'll just favorite that because it's something I want to look at later. It automatically, using this tool, I set up a little thing that automatically feeds it into my Evernote. So that all of my favorited tweets go to that folder. You can do things like, every time I post a photo on Facebook, I want to post it on Twitter. Or every time I want, if I do this, if I check in on Foursquare, then I want to post it on Facebook, or things like that. Let me show you some of the examples. I'm always looking for ways to streamline and save time. So I only have 2 things, now 3. So like if I post an Instagram, if I post a photo on Instagram, I want it to also go onto Twitter as a native Twitter photo so that it'll actually show up. If I favorite a tweet, I want it to go to Evernote, into a particular folder. And you just click on these buttons and it shows you like what the formula is, the recipe. But you don't have to do any of this. It's already pre-made. You just tell it, the only thing I did on this one was I told it which notebook I want it to go into, instead of just being dumped out into the open. That's the only thing I did. This little pre-baked program is already there. And there are lots of recipes. So if you think there are things that you're doing a lot, I mean, you can do things with email as well with these formulas. I've only just begun to experiment with this. But those were the 2 things that I've been using that I really like a lot. So it'll give you lots of other possibilities.
Will it make it so that I don't have to check my Twitter all, I mean, I can just, anything, if I want to put things both Facebook and Twitter, I prefer just Facebook, so if anything I put on Facebook will also tweet.
Yeah, you can do that
And
with
then I
this
can
tool.
have my tweet responses go to Facebook or what I'm telling.
Yeah, you can tell it gives you, like when you go to the site, it gives you lots of different services. So it's like, what do you want to do something with? Okay, Facebook. What do you want to do with Facebook, and where do you want it to go? And it runs in both directions. So I would just say if it's something you're interested in, just look at their site and see the different ways that they have a bunch of examples of what people use it for. We can look at it real fast. It might give you more ideas of ways to use it if you just glance at it here. Wow, that's huge. Not good. I think it'll be easier to see if I just go this. So if you just click on Browse Recipes, it'll start showing you, isn't it? That's too. It gives you lots of examples of things you can do. Unmute my phone when I get home. top 10 Android apps, mute my ringer at bedtime. You know, just crazy, all this stuff. Upload screenshots directly to Dropbox or Google Drive or things like that. Let me know when I'm kicked off my home Wi-Fi so I don't burn through my data plan. I mean, just all kinds. Text my wife when I leave work. Mute my device during meetings. You know, like, it's stuff that people do all the time, and then they figured out ways to automate it. Take Instagram photos from National Geographic and automatically convert them to my computer wallpaper. You know, just crazy stuff. Lots of things. Mail me 3 games. Unsilence the cell. Back up my Android photos to Google Drive. You know, like lots of things that you can think about, personal or professional use. So those are the kinds of things, and any of these, if you're interested in it, you just click on it, and then you just connect your accounts, and it does magic. You don't have to know how to program. I don't know how to program, and I'm not going to learn. I draw the line. I do a lot of nerdy, geeky things, and I draw the line there. All right, let's do that. We've got a few more I want to make sure we get through. All right, I'll just mention a couple of these quickly so we can get through the rest of them. You guys have very good questions, so I appreciate that. How many of you are working on some type of tablet at work? Maybe a little under half. Part of the frustration with tablets has been that it's hard to edit and do things and share them. So there are a couple things that I would recommend. One is this tool called Cloud On is a way that if you want to do a lot of like editing on your iPad or something, or other tablet, it will allow you to work with Microsoft Office documents and edit them using Cloud On. I experimented with it a few times. It seems to work pretty well. It'll work on an Apple device or an Android device. But the other thing that's new, fairly new, is Microsoft Office is now available for the iPad. So you can do everything on the iPad that you can do on Office. The only drawback is you can view it for free, so you can open up a Word document on an iPad, but you can't edit it on the iPad unless you have an Office 365 subscription. So I checked, and for Ohio State, the university subscription is only $80 for 4 years. So it's pretty cheap. If that's something that you or people in your office would benefit from, it's really a pretty affordable option. We've learned from Dr. Drake, for instance, our new president, that he works solely on iPad. So our executive communications team is calibrating to be able to do speeches and remarks and talking points, knowing that he only wants to be able to see it on an iPad. And that's how he lives. He lives on his iPad. So just word to the wise.
Do you know if that works for Exchange Server for our email systems if we're looking at multiple calendars?
Oh, that I don't know. You're saying it probably.
I don't think it does, but I haven't been able to find it with the calendar.
I don't know.
Is that subscription only if you buy it through eRequest? Or if I want, can I buy it personally? Can I get that rate?
I think you can buy it personally as well, but I'm not 100% sure. They have a description of their different subscriptions, and I don't know if the university one you have to use your EDU email or not. I'm not sure how they police that. So this was only within the past month or two that Office for the iPad is now available. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about events and things like that. We talked about Google Drive earlier. One of the things I like about Google Drive is that there's a part of it where you can create simple forms. You know, you can create documents and things like that. But Google Forms is something we've been working on in the Media Relations Office. You can just go in, it's very easy to set up a form. Gives you lots of different templates. So this is if you want people to give you information. You can do a quick survey of your team or some division. You just set up the form, you know, type what the questions are, the types of questions, and you can create this. And then it just saves it as a form that then you can give people a link to. So I'll show you what we're working on in media relations. This media calls form, we need to gather information from some of our larger partners around campus when they get calls from the news media and stories that they're pitching to the news media locally, nationally, internationally. So I've been going through, we are working to refine this to create this simple form where people at the Med Center, people at other places can just go to the web and this is what they'll see. You just go to the web and here's this little form. So who's entering the information, what's your college or unit, what's the date of the call, you know, or if it's a public records request, the type of call it is. So it's just a simple form that people can fill out. What type of media are you dealing with or stories that you're pitching to them? This is just an example. You can have them fill in information, describe the topic, and so forth. And with a little form, you're doing a survey, you're gathering information from people in your team, people outside, a survey of your alumni or whatever it might be for your college or unit. You can create this form really easily. No programming is required. And then every time people fill in something, it goes into an underlying Google spreadsheet. And once you get that, you have, everything comes in this format. So then you have full capabilities of, if you're spreadsheet savvy or even pseudo savvy, you can organize this any way you want. You can slice and dice it. You can extract certain information out from it. You can set up kind of reports. You know, these are public records requests only, media calls only, broadcast studio appearances only. You know, you can customize this pretty easily. Very powerful tool, free. Just to show you, does anyone use, like, do you use anything like SurveyMonkey or survey types of tools?
Yes.
This could be, we use SurveyMonkey, we have for the Kiplinger program, and I think we're going to let our subscription expire and go to Google Forms because it's, in a lot of ways, it's easier to use and it's free.
Sometimes we use Harmon to do the elections.
Oh, do you?
With something, is it secure enough to do anonymous or elections?
Yeah, you can set it up any way that you like, and it's, once you set up the form,
Confidential stuff, confidential elections, so nobody else can see the results, only a certain person can see.
yeah, the sheet that this all feeds into, the spreadsheet in Google, you determine whether anybody has access to that or not, just like you do any other thing that you have in Google Drive. So you determine that. So like this, we would then, once we roll this out with our partners at the 5 larger units, you know, we would give their top communication person access to the underlying table because then they could go out and pull stuff from Fisher or pull stuff from the Med Center from this document because we'd be working together on it. So SurveyMonkey is the other tool that we've used. It's more limited because you can only have, it's free for up to 10 questions and up to 100 answers from people. It's not, if it's a tiny thing you want to do, SurveyMonkey's free and easy, but then it's fairly pricey to get the unlimited, kind of unlimited number of questions and responses. So we pay a couple hundred bucks a year for the Kiplinger program right now to use it. We use it for our applications because last year we had something like 650 applications for our 25 slots. So people apply through SurveyMonkey online and fill out all their information and post their bio and all of that. You can do all of that through Google Forms too. Who uses Doodle? You guys are, I was gonna say, this group knows about Doodle and nobody, like journalists don't know about Doodle. So you know what that is. Hardest thing you do probably is schedule meetings for busy people, right? Yeah. Has anyone used Eventbrite?
I have a question.
Why
Why doesn't the university come up with its own, that's linked into all of our emails that forces it right to the calendar instead of going to Doodle and SurveyMonkey? Why don't they do their own?
I'm not from OCIO.
I know.
That's I don't know, you're saying they do? You're saying they do, or, I don't know. To a point, yeah. These are difficult things to create and to have run. And looking at the scale here of, you know, we have about 40,000 FTEs counting Med Center and everything. So I mean, this is a sizable city in and of itself.
It is possible through SharePoint, which is what one source I think is run on, is that correct?
SharePoint, you're saying that
yeah.
does work? I
You
don't.
can do it, and there's a lot of programming involved, but you can have it tied back to an Outlook calendar.
Oh, it cannot or it
It
can?
can.
Oh, it can.
Does SharePoint versus Doodle use SharePoint and it ties to a calendar?
No, you, you have to have it set up that way. I mean, it would take a lot of programming to get it to.
So events, how many of you were involved in either planning or managing events in your area? Who's used Eventbrite? A couple people. We've used it with the Kiplinger program. It's great for handling registrations for things if you don't have we didn't have the resources in our office to manage. We're doing another 2-day social media summit this fall here on campus. We'll probably have 150 or 200 people registered. We'll have journalists coming from all over. That's beyond the staffing capability we have to manage that. So we'll use Eventbrite for that type of thing. It's a free service to set it up and use it, but they take a small cut of the gate receipts for managing payment and all of that. So for our event, we, I think they charged us maybe $250, and then we had made $6,000 or $8,000 from the gate receipt. So it's a very small percentage that they charge. The nice thing about this is you can set up your event, you can then see it on the web, you can promote it on the web with social media or with email or things like that. You can have something to link to. And then people just click on your event and they can go in and sign up, and whatever information you want them to provide, they provide, and then they can pay using Eventbrite directly. So that's just to be aware of. How many people use TripIt or know about TripIt? Do you like it? It's one of my favorite tools. If you travel at all or manage travel for people in your office, this thing saves me so much time, because what it does, this is free. There's a paid service if you want to, maybe you work in an office and you have 5 people that you need to manage their travel. That's a paid service. It's fairly affordable. But I use the free version myself. And what this does is when you plan trips, either for work or personal trips, anytime you set up the trip, you just go in and say, I'm going to this national conference, you put the dates in, and you just create the trip. And then like when you make your flight reservations and you get the confirmation of your flights, you just forward it to this. Hotel reservations, you just forward it to this. Rental cars, you just forward it to this. And it organizes it by date and builds an itinerary for you. I used to copy and paste stuff into a Word document, like family trips. You know, you get the confirmation from this hotel and you copy and paste. And let me show you what this looks like. It's amazing. So again, you can see your past trips also. So if I'm doing the same thing, annually going to Washington to meet with the Kiplinger folks, I can see like, where did I stay last year? You can look at your past trips. This is a conference I'm going to in San Francisco, so this is what it looks like. It's just forwarded emails from flights, hotels, stuff like that. It builds this itinerary for you. You can go in and edit, add notes to it. You can share this with someone. You can email it to someone. You can share it with them if they're on TripIt. And then what I really like is if you want to print, this is what it looks like. It's really nice, user-friendly. So I always print this out before going on a trip, and I have all the confirmation numbers, I have the flights, I have the hotels, the addresses, the phone numbers. It just automatically builds this whole itinerary for you. It's also on my phone, so I can just call it up on my phone and click on it and see, oh, which rental car am I doing, Enterprise or National, or where am I? And you can just quickly see your trips that way. I use it for personal trips and for work trips. Really nice. Let's see, we have a couple things. How many of you use Hootsuite or TweetDeck or social media? Not so much. If you need to monitor or manage social media, I like Hootsuite, and we're using this in university communications and partnering with communicators around campus on this tool. It allows you to monitor and post to multiple platforms all at once. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, lots of those things. So I'm gonna fly through the last few here just so you get a flavor. It looks like that, so you can monitor keyword searches. Our social media team monitors references to Ohio State, keywords like President Drake, tuition, things like that. So that's how they track what's going on, what people are saying about Ohio State. You could set it up and search keywords for your director, for the topics that you guys are monitoring, and follow it that way. There's a tool if you have an event and you're encouraging people to tweet and you want to capture all of that later. It's hard because it goes away after about 7 days. It's hard to get old tweets. This service is called Tweet Archivist. So if you have a big conference going on or a big event that you're planning and you want to capture all those tweets so that you can go through them later, you can use them with funders, you can use them to your dean or your SVP or vice president to say, here's the kinds of things people were doing. You can do this just a one-time deal for $20, and we capture that for an event. It'll give you a report of the most active tweeters at your event, links, photos, all of that stuff. And then you can download all the tweets into a simple spreadsheet, so then you save them all. So that's nice. Banjo has anyone used Banjo? I'll just mention this briefly. It's a service that is curating social media. So if there's a big event going on, you can see how it's being kind of talked about on social media. The other nice thing is it's a free smartphone app. So, and it's Android or iPhone compatible. And if you want to see what people are posting publicly in social media, where you are now, you can use this and just click a button. And it will then search and pull up close to you what people are posting publicly on Twitter, on Facebook, on Flickr, on YouTube. So imagine a big event that you're part of, or there's something going on campus, and you want to see like what are people doing in real time on social media about this. You can do it that way. You can also, I think I have this search in here. You can also type in an address from any place, an address or a city from any place around the world. So this was the day of the Boston Marathon bombing. I typed in the address of a library in Boston, which was near the finish line of the marathon. This is just an example of what you see. You just see in real time what people are posting publicly near that address, based on the geolocation of their phone if they have it turned on. So it just pulls up all kinds of things. Photos people are posting, videos people are posting, comments people are posting on social media. And final thing, just to mention, how many of you have used Google Hangouts? It's a really cool service. It's free. If you want to set up a video conference with people, you can go through Google Hangouts. The other cool thing that you can do with it is they call it Google Hangout on Air. If you have a YouTube page where you post videos for your college or your unit, you can actually broadcast live and just give people the link to your page. So we did this with Dr. Gee and STEM school over in Springfield last spring, where we were broadcasting basically from a laptop computer and a webcam, Dr. Gee having this interaction with people in Springfield. So that's Google Hangout. So that's the last thing, in fact. So thank you very much. I'll be hanging around if you have questions.